This is Toon Talk Weekly, episode 232. This week, Brad and I prove we can be tough bad guys when we watch an episode of the Disney XD series, Wander Over Yonder.
I bet they can rustle us up some orbital juice. I'ma go ask them for help.
What? Don't you know where we are? This is Tombstone, refuge for the meanest, nastiest outlaws in the galaxy. You can't just walk in there asking for orbital juice. They'll tear you apart.
What if I ask real nice?
No. If we're gonna go in there, you gotta do the opposite of that. You gotta act tough, nasty, mean. You gotta act like a bad guy.
Bad guy? Got it! No problem.
The day just keeps getting better.
Boy.
Where is that kid?
Hey everyone, it's Tuesday once again. That means it's time for another episode of the weekly cartoon podcast, Toon Talk Weekly. That's, of course, this show. So thank you once again for joining us this week to talk all about cartoons. I'm Jake Williams, but I don't do this show alone. Brought again my good buddy, Brad Chmielewski, to talk cartoons. What's up, man?
How's it going?
It's going well. I feel like we just did this, like last week.
Every week, man. It doesn't change. There's cartoons to watch, and there are people like us that need to slay them.
Yeah. And this, slay them. That's the
Yeah, like we're crushing cartoons. We're killing them one at a time.
If you got a cartoon out there, we will kill it. Yeah. No. How's it going, man?
Yeah, it's going great. This is a fun show you picked this week, and one we probably should have done a long time ago.
Yeah, I feel like this was a show. Spoilers, it's in the title. We're watching Wander Over Yonder this week, the Disney show, and I guess Disney XD show. And I think this cartoon's been around for 3 or 4 years now, and I've known the name. I've seen tons of branding for it. I've seen the characters. I totally get that it's like I don't want to call it a phenomenon, but it is a very popular show, I think, for them. But how did I never watch this? Like, I feel like it's like one of those, like, on the surface would totally like, and just never quite got around to it. Had you seen any of this before today, Brad?
No, I just know the name, and I maybe kind of seen the character before, but not really either. Like, it's one that I know exists.
Right. And then also, it's like he's not I don't even know who Wander, the main character. Like, I don't know what he's supposed to be.
Right.
He's like a little hairy blob guy.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay.
But yeah, like every show cartoon at the moment, they're traveling around dimensions and planets, so it doesn't matter what he is.
Yeah, that's true. And the fact that it takes place in like this sci-fi-ish fantasy setting of like, you know, intergalactic space travel, it doesn't matter. He's just from one of those planets, not from the one you're familiar with, basically. So the series Wander Over Yonder, if you guys have checked this out before, it is created by Craig McCracken. And if that name sounds familiar, it's because he also created the Powerpuff Girls and Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends for Cartoon Network. So that guy makes great cartoons or has great ideas for cartoons. And that's clearly showing here, I think, once again in Yonder. What would you call it? I guess Wander would be the short name for it.
Yeah.
Not Yonder.
Yeah.
It's the show aired on Disney XD. The series was originally aired on the Disney Channel actually in 2013, but then new episodes during the first season were moved over to Disney XD in 2014. So I guess shortly after the first year, it moved over to I still never know what to call XD. It's like, to me, it's their like more experimental hip channel, not like the safe kid-friendly stuff.
I don't know. Do they have? Is there a channel for the not XD stuff?
Yeah, just Disney Channel, right?
I don't think that exists.
Oh, what? It's not a thing anymore? Maybe it's just XD. And also, I'm sure. I feel like this gets brought up all the time. Somebody please write in toontalkweekly@gmail.com and tell me what's wrong. But like, is XD supposed to be like a cool hip way to say like HD, or is it literally supposed to be the sideways emoticon like face, like the XD? You know?
Yeah, maybe the Disney Channel is still there, and I think that's the cable channel.
Oh, there you go.
And then the XD channel is most of it exists online.
That and like Disney
And I
Channel
think
is where you still get live action crap.
Yeah, XD. I don't know if XD does. XD might too.
Nah, I've drawn a line right now. It doesn't. I have no clue. I don't actually know. No, but I think this comes up a lot. However, I think most of our favorite shows that we've talked about on this series, or at least on this podcast, all seem to come from Disney XD. Like, it just seems like it's more tailored towards like a hip, more modern kind of style or vibe.
Yeah.
The show, Wander Over Yonder, has 2 seasons, 43 episodes, which are 79 total segments. Most of them are the 10-minute variety, but I think they do have some full half-hour episodes as well. And I guess McCracken originally stated that he had plans to continue producing the show, but Disney declined to order more episodes, and there's sort of a half-hour season finale titled The End of the Galaxy that aired on June 27th, 2016. So apparently, as of last year, it's gone. It's over, which is pretty sad because I've only seen one episode, the one we'll talk about here today, and I already want more. I wish I had watched more before today. And so what can you expect from an episode of the series Wander Over Yonder? Obviously, check out our show notes over at toontalkweekly.com with every post, but that's kind of where I'm getting a lot of this information for you guys. But the series Wander Over Yonder follows Wander, who is a nomadic and overly optimistic intergalactic traveler, and his best friend and steed, Sylvia the Zbornak. Yeah, I tried my best to pronounce that. They travel from planet to planet, sort of helping people to have fun and live free, even though there is a constant threat throughout these galaxies, throughout these worlds, of the villain Lord Hater, which is the perfect villain name.
Yeah, that's a pretty good villain name.
He's one of the most powerful villains in the galaxy, and he's got all these henchmen. I think they're called watchdogs in the series. So, and an interesting thing to note between the 2 seasons is that the first season is more episodic. So that's we actually grabbed an episode from season 1 today, and it makes a lot of sense. Kind of fits that bill. There are very few strong ties between those episodes. But in the second season, they do more of a sequential story where they have another villain. I'm assuming he's supposed to be a secondary villain or a different one, Lord Dominator. He begins to conquer the galaxy, and so as he begins to conquer the galaxy, the show's tone becomes a little bit more serious, and they're trying to basically stop him.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So here's the description. It basically says that there's the rather incompetent Lord Hater, who's the original villain, so it was more fun and free, and now there's the extremely competent, maybe filled with more gravitas, like Lord Dominator, actual villain, right? So that's kind of what I want to check out. Dude, that's something in like modern cartoons I think is super cool. We got it a lot in our episode of, you dove into it with Steven Universe for sure, and also our episode of Adventure Time with our buddy Nick Hopkins. I love cartoons that start off with like, they're great, they look great, they have awesome characters, and they're just kind of episodic. Here's some fun things we can do. However, as the show matures, the creators and artists mature, they start to be able to put in these, like, weave in these bigger stories that either ask bigger questions or maybe aren't as, like, cute and friendly as they seem at face value. I don't know why. That's, like, my favorite thing that cartoons do.
Like more, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes you more invested in it, like you want to watch more of it.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And even though we didn't talk about an episode in Wander that includes Lord Dominator today, actually Lord Hater isn't even anywhere to be seen in this episode. I think it's still something I definitely want to dive into because if nothing else, the art is great and the animation's great. I love the characters in it. So the main characters we'll talk about today, we have Wander, who's voiced by Jack McBrayer. You probably most famously know him as Fix-It Felix or 30 Rock. He was the Page. Was it called Page?
I think so, yeah.
It's like the intern guy or whatever. And Wander's kind of this like energetic, optimistic, kind of outgoing, charming character. And then he's got his noble steed, Sylvia, who's with him everywhere they go. You've got Lord Hater, who is not in this episode, so I'm not even going to talk about him. And that's pretty much it. Basically, you need, for this episode in particular, all you need to know is Wander and Sylvia.
I guess, yeah, that's true.
And if you guys want to follow along, we're watching Season 1, Episode 8, entitled The Bad Guys. I believe this one was still in 2013, but it very well may have been when the series shifted over to Disney XD as well.
So why'd you pick this episode?
I thought that, first of all, knowing nothing of the show, I kind of thought that that you would love the idea that they go to this like planet where everyone's a bad guy and you gotta like, you're really good, but you have to pretend to be bad to fit in.
Okay.
And for some reason, that concept just made me think, I was like, Brad would enjoy this, like just someone trying to be tough, even if they're not tough.
All right, sure.
Right off the bat, we do begin the episode with Wander Over Yonder theme song, which, if I have any maybe negative to the show, it's the theme song is incredibly annoying. Like, I feel bad saying that, but it's just a crazy, like, it goes really fast, keeps saying Wander Over Yonder, switching and swapping these words, and builds and builds and builds. But I get that it feeds into the craziness that is potentially the wackiness that happens in the show. But I was like, oh my goodness, is it over? Is kind of how I was feeling, which was super weird. And right off the bat, it kind of reminded me of this like quality that SpongeBob had. I feel like I remember the conversation around SpongeBob when it first premiered being that it was kind of annoying that like he had this weird characteristic to him that was kind of grating and like turned you off a little bit. And then as time went on, like SpongeBob and the characters in Bikini Bottom and stuff got a little bit more complex and started to do a little bit deeper things. Sure, he's still like goofy SpongeBob guy, but I felt like maybe that was
you care about him more.
Yeah, and Patrick and everybody else. So I don't know, I got this weird like old school SpongeBob vibe to the way that they presented the character in just the title sequence, basically. But dude, they throw you right into the action in the very beginning of the episode with Sylvia and Wander are barreling through space, going through this asteroid field, and they need to use this special like bubble juice that they basically have to slow their fall before they crash land on this planet. But then it only lasts for a mere second before they then eventually crash on this planet. Right away, you see some of the great posing that they do with the show. Like Wander lands perfectly on his feet, but Sylvia is like bent over, back broken in like 3 pieces. Like there's just some really cool slapsticky moments in this show.
Well, this is Disney, and they're good at that.
That's true. And this has some of we talk about outline weight a lot in some of the cartoons that we watch. This is probably some of the thickest that I think we've seen.
Yeah. Maybe Powerpuff. Powerpuff Girls are really thick. But...
True. Maybe it's a Craig McCracken specialty at this point. So they land and they realize like, oh, we're out of this juice. Let's go to the nearest town on this planet. Right away, man, I just love the idea that they just land on these planets and they're like, all right, well, let's see what's going on here. But they've landed on this planet with the city called Doomstone. The population of the city is Get Out. Like, you look at this, it looks like the slums from like Batman Begins or something like that. You just see this like green fire, these smokestacks, all this like kind of broken engineering junkyard type of place. It looks like not the safest place to go be asking for directions or anything.
Oh, definitely not. No.
But overly optimistic Wander doesn't seem to care. He's just gonna wander. What's gonna wander in there? Of course, that's kind of what he's doing. Right off the bat, they realize like what I love that they did here, dude, was the title sequence or the title card rather. Instead of putting it at the front of the episode, you get like a 1.5-minute build or something before Wander decides, hey, we got to pretend to be tough to go to this town if we're going to get what we want here. So he puts on a fake mustache and starts walking like he means business. And he doesn't care who's going to say anything because he's a bad guy now. He walks towards the camera and then like a whip sound happens and it says the title of the episode, The Bad Guy, in very flowery letters. So it's not, it's not that tough, but it was just a cool thing to have like reminded me of like what do you want to call it? Like a Quentin Tarantino random title in the middle of a film kind of thing.
Oh, that's true.
So Yonder's got his new mustache. He's donned it on, and he's decided he's going to be the toughest guy. Really, all he does, though, is just like hulk over and growl a lot. They go to this bar. There's a lot of tough-looking characters here. They kick the door in and say, basically, he just roars. And right. I don't think he asks for any juice there, but everybody stops for a minute, but then goes back to what they're doing because, come on, man, you're not that tough.
Like, no, they were like, that's a bad guy. He fits in.
Yep. He's here. So they sit down yonder. He sits in one chair while Sylvia goes to talk to somebody who might be able to find this juice that they need, this sort of potion. And there's this big, burly-looking skull, almost like I don't know if he's supposed to be like a rhino or not a rhino, like a ox or something like that. Comes up to him, is like, "You're in my seat," and they start having this shouting contest, which is great that he has to act tough, and they have this back and forth exchange that's really hilarious. Actually, I should put this clip in here where the big dude is trying to explain to Wander here that here's why I'm the toughest guy there is, and he rips a wanted poster off of the wall with a chunk of the wall to show him. But then Wander, to prove that he's the worst villain of the two, pulls a piece of his fur off, and underneath that he draws a picture of himself being the most wanted guy.
Yeah.
Oh, and then he forgot that he needed to draw a mustache on there as well.
Yeah. Whoops.
So it's pretty perfect.
Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? I'm a wanted man. 10 million credit reward for the capture of Badlands Dan. Meanest man in the whole darn land. I'm a wanted man. 10 million in the one credit reward for the capture of Wild Willy Wander. Wickedest man in the whole wide land.
You do get a small scene here with Sylvia talking to this two-headed bartender who's like an apple and a lemon, and it's one of those moments where you need some convincing.
Sour kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, hey, I didn't think of that. That's pretty great. Dang, dude, I don't know. I just love the character design in this like sketchy bar in this episode.
Yeah.
It's one of those situations where Sylvia has to pay a little bit of a bribe here to get some information to know where they might be able to get this juice. And this is where
it's like they deal in crystals in this world.
Yeah, I wonder if that's the whole galaxy or the whole universe. Maybe it's like a universal currency. The ox dude was named Badlands Dan, which is an awesome name. And what they get information for here is that they need to find this guy named Papa Doom. He's the guy who's got the juice available. And meanwhile, Sylvia looks over to realize Yonder is stirring up quite a bunch of ruckus over with Badlands Dan here. And right before he basically insults him, and right before everybody tries to turn on him, they get out of there as quickly as they can. Wander steals this crazy steam like motorcycle. They take off and have this great motorcycle chase. There's even like a crazy explosion ramp sequence that looked like hella fun to animate. I think I'd love to work on that stuff. And they crash land right in front of this giant palace that we learn very quickly belongs to Papa Doom, the mob boss on this planet.
And that's exactly where they needed to be.
Yeah, so. It was perfect. Papa Doom is like a bat. He's got these bat enforcers around him as well. They try to reason with him and say, hey, we brought crystals. We just need to buy some juice and we'll be on our way. However, they get the shakedown, right? He's like, no, listen, I'm going to take your money and my associates are going to take care of you and you'll get no juice. How's that sound? Basically flexing his muscle here. There's a fun little fight sequence between these things. At one point, they have to, what is it? Oh, they tell him like, oh, do you know this is Wander? Wild Willy Wander, I think was his name. Wasn't that like our Cartoon Network names?
I think that's pretty close. Yeah, like yours was Wild Jake
Jingles or something.
Jingles, yeah.
It's like, oh, you're Wild Willy Wander, and suddenly they change their tone immediately. Papa Doom and his associates are like, here, take what you need, like totally fine. But on his way out, doesn't his mustache fall off or it gets knocked off or something?
No, Wander swaps the crystals for rocks because he's like, ha, that's how bad I am.
Yeah.
I swindled him.
It's just like, no matter how in character Wander is in this episode, he's always waiting for a moment to be like, check it out, I did a good job, didn't I? Look how bad I am. So he takes off on Sylvia. He gets chased by Papa Doom and his associates. There's a great lot of color in the scene that happens here where they get cornered in an alley, and Wander and Sylvia are always this like teal and purple like shadowy color. They run into the patrons from the bar who are all like their own version of a shadow color. They're like red and blue. It just seems like very bright pops of color that I thought was a really cool way to show the different factions of like people they've come across on this planet. Artistically, at least.
Game over, furball.
Bring it on, fellas! I'm Wild Willy Wonder! I'm the toughest, meanest there is! Come on! I'll take all yours!
So then we get this like showdown where all these people basically want to kick his ass. Like, you stole from us, or you were causing us wrong. And this is where Wander decides, oh, he wasn't gonna speak up, but they were like, you guys are gonna hit us, right? Like, you're gonna beat us up now. Like, the bad guys weren't acting on what they should have been
go,
doing.
Like, get them, boys. Like, I thought when I was watching this scene, I kind of thought that the bad guys were gonna start to fight, and Wander and Sylvia were just gonna kind of walk away, like sneak out of the fight, and all the bad guys are fighting.
Yeah. Oh, that's really what should have happened. And it didn't even cross my mind that they were like, that, you know, they said, oh, we were just pretending to be bad. Like, we apologize. We'll totally give this back. And that was enough to make all the bad guys also fess up that, like, I was just kidding too. Like, I'm totally not bad.
Yeah, I really just like guarding, but I came to this planet and everyone was bad, so, you know, I just decided that's what you needed to do.
What a great turn, dude. Like, early in the episode, Wander and Sylvia think we've got to act bad and be bad to be on this planet. Every single other dude who's come to this planet has also felt this way. And they look tough and like grizzled by this. Can you imagine, like, the scene must be that a guy like Badlands Dan, every night he goes home, he was all mad at the bar and hanging out and riding motorcycles and stuff, and then he goes home and he's like, oh geez, I don't know how many more days of this I can take. Like, I just don't want to do that anymore.
Can't be this bad all the time.
My favorite comment was one of the villains was like, I don't even like motorcycles. Those things are dangerous.
Yeah.
And it totally changed around the town. So Wander has actually convinced this town to totally change their ways. He's taught them to live a happy and free life. They even changed the sign from Doomstone. They changed the name of the town to Congenial Rock Population Friends. And there's flowers and sparkles. And it's the most pretty as it possibly can be. And Papa Doom even gives them like a tub of this juice. Like, he had tons of it extra. So he gives them that so that they can be on their way. And I think even one of the other monster guys gives them like a pie to head off on.
Yeah.
And that's the episode, season 1, episode 8, Wander Over Yonder, entitled The Bad Guys. Fun little twist at the end there. Man, what a fun show. Like, I can't believe we waited this long to watch this show.
Yeah, it was just really enjoyable. The colors are awesome, like you were saying in that one scene, but throughout the whole show, it's just like a great color palette, I guess.
Yeah, I can't get over that shadow scene, like where they're being cornered by the bad guys. Mm-hmm. That's got to be one of my favorites. And everything, it's something about like the character art I've seen for this show before, namely Wander and Sylvia, basically always looks to me like elongated ovals and stuff, and just like had this look that looked loose to me that I was like, maybe I won't like that. I'm not really sure what to expect. But holy crap, dude, the designs of the villains are some of my favorite. Like, just some of the cool, creepy guys they got to come up with. Definitely a show I want to check out more of. I think at this point we both only caught this episode, and that's definitely not going to be the end of it. And Brad, considering you're almost done with whatever else you were watching, this is probably the next one.
Well, I'm back on Clarence.
Oh, no.
So,
I mean, it's for the best. It's a good show, too. But yeah, so generally, fan of this show?
yeah, I liked it a lot. Yeah, I'm going to have to see if there's a Disney XD app I can install and try to learn how to use that.
Yeah, part of me wants to just start at the beginning, since they are episodic in the first season. You can kind of just get into it, but I'm also a little sad that I managed again. Sometimes these shows, guys, are hard to pick. When I pick one that doesn't have like a constant villain or a popular like antithesis like force to be able to fight against, I feel like I'm personally, as a newbie to the show, missing part of the show. So talking about an episode with, or finding an episode with Lord Hater or Lord Dominator would be, I think, awesome too. But yeah, no, I think that's going to wrap up our discussion on Wander Over Yonder. If you are a fan of the show, let us know, toontalkweekly@gmail.com. What are your favorite episodes? If there's more we should be getting out of the show, because I think we're both huge fans of it now, and now it just takes putting in the time, watching some more episodes as we go. So,
but you never dived into Star versus the Forces of Evil, and that's also on Disney XD.
That's true. I watched the first 3 or 4. We did episode 100, which was a long time ago, but there was only one episode out, and then I think I watched 3 or 4 more after that.
I think I finished a season.
Oh my gosh. I remember something about an awesome episode with an arcade, and I don't remember what it was about. But anyway, way back when. Anyway, let's get out of here. Brad, where can people find out more about you when you're not recording Toon Talk Weekly?
So you can follow me on Twitter. It's @brad, and then my blog is digitalhitchhiker.com.
Great, guys, go check them out over there. You can follow me on Twitter @JacobWilliams if you'd like, and the show, Toon Talk Weekly, is all over the place. Twitter @Toon Talk Weekly, Facebook.com/Toon Talk Weekly. We're on Google Plus as Toon Talk Weekly as well. Whew. I mentioned a few times this episode, but we love hearing from you guys. ToonTalkWeekly@gmail.com is the main hub to email us. Let us know what you think of the show, other episodes of Wander you want us to check out, or let us know your favorite cartoons, because there might be some we haven't covered. There's definitely a lot more to go. Our website, ToonTalkWeekly.com, is the main hub for the show. That's where you can find all the episodes we've ever done to this point. And we're just going to keep rolling on that. And then, of course, always check out the YouTube version. Any post over on ToonTalkWeekly.com has an embedded link with our YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Help us get that vanity URL so we can share episodes way more easily with you guys. We like producing this content. And I think video helps a lot to be able to show like things we're talking about when the audio doesn't suffice, I think.
Right, especially with the shadows you were talking about in this episode and things like that, yeah.
Yeah, this is one episode I guess I'd recommend definitely check it out, because it's an art thing that I find incredibly interesting about this that I'm going to share. So that's going to do it for this week's show. Next week is going to be our Christmas episode, or our holiday episode, whatever you want to call it, for this year. We decided to do the only episode of A Charlie Brown Christmas. So that'll go in the Pantheon. I think we've done some Disney specials. We've done Garfield, and we've done Rudolph. But this year we're going Charlie Brown. So next year, I don't know, man. Jingle all the way, probably.
Jingle all the way. I don't know. What's the Polar Express?
Oh yeah, we're gonna do like creepy full-length Christmas Carol movie, like, or we haven't done any of the, like. There's plenty more claymation ones, but we should do like a bad animated one. I don't know, whatever. We got a year to decide. We'll figure it out by then.
Yeah, first animated Christmas one.
Oh, the Mr. Hanky episode. Gosh, did we do South Park?
We've done South Park.
Oh yeah,
we haven't done. Yeah,
that's true. At this, it's been like 4 years. So at this point, I'm like, did we do that? I think I've seen it. I'm not sure. So anyway, so next week, our holiday episode, we'll have it out for you. Maybe on Christmas, but if not, it'll be the next day, every Tuesday, as usual. So something for you guys to listen to on your new devices after the holidays. But that's been this. Has been a fun episode of Toon Talk Weekly. We'll be back next week with another cartoon.
Take care.
To learn more about the show, visit ToonTalkWeekly.com or follow us on Twitter @ToonTalkWeekly.